Okay, so today I got me this beauty. Okay, so at the end of the day, is it really a beauty? Well, it can be. At the end, it is made out of cheap plastic, like the outside, like this right here. This is like an ABS plastic, right? And it's heat resistant plastic, same with this, and same with this here, right? One of the things I don't like about it is this really far back, and it's just using the weight of the lid to stay in the hinge. It So you got to be careful when you throw it back. Plus, it's held in by these three screws. Now, who's to say what kind of material that is? But if it breaks down over time, you might have to replace that. Nice thing is, it's regular screws, so you can replace it. Though, trying to find the exact one at a hardware store probably needs some help. That's where the fan is. It's a single fan, and it only works in one mode or another. So if you're in air fryer mode, there is no smoke extraction because this has to spin in a certain direction. So the air fryer basket has vents up here, and the grill sits just below these vents on both sides. And there is another section, over here. Now, right now, the drip pan is out of here because I removed it. But if you look at you can see just underneath here, this right here, plastic. But it's an ABS plastic, again, very heat resistant. And then there's vent holes all along the bottom, right? So this is why they want you to keep it, off of the oven. Because it could heat the oven too. And you don't want to add any extra heat to the oven. This is the temperature probe. So when you put the air fryer basket or the grill plate actually makes direct contact with it, as well as it makes direct contact with these too. So does the air fryer basket. So the air fryer basket and the grill plate will make direct contact. To keep that in mind, note that all your meats and whatever you decide to cook in here is going to fry and aerosolize and reach a certain smoke point. If you want to not have as much smoke, don't go beyond the smoke point of the fat you're trying to do, or the fat of the meat you're trying to render. Generally, frozen food doesn't really render a whole lot of fat unless it's like hamburgers. Then it's the same story all over again. Also, on my unit, it has the drip pan, or the drip tray is ABS plastic. I lined it with foil and then put this on top, and it works fine. I haven't gotten an error message or anything. This is the air fryer. When you put it in, it sits flush with the unit, so you can grab the handles pretty easily. But notice the pattern now, right? Now it makes squares out of those vertical slats in the back. And again, does the same on the front. So what happens is, I believe the air circulates from down, going over the heating element, back underneath here, and then over your fryer, and then back around again. At least that's the way it's supposed to. Also, probably beyond here is a dead zone for the actual plate here, but you're still good up to that point. Sorry, you're looking at my arm here. Up to that point. Same thing with over here. This is a dead zone over here for airflow, at least. Now, let's look at the grill. The grill is also a different finish, right? And if you look very closely, a lot of people call this cast iron. Let me show you what cast iron looks like. That's cast iron. That's not cast iron. That's cast iron. That's cast iron. That's not cast iron. Both of these are just cast aluminum with a ceramic coating. And they say it's dishwasher safe because it's not cast iron. But there are detergents or solvents and dishwasher detergent that will cause this to break, crack and warp over time. So a lot of users have reported this happening because they followed they trusted the marketing material. Companies don't care about you. But that doesn't mean they don't make a decent product if you know how to navigate their lies. Anyway, here's the temperature control. Now, one drawback on this, when you do grill, you got only four temperatures: high, max, low, medium, high again. That's it. No temperature gradients in between like you can do with air fryer. So, and also smoke extraction. It goes in a different direction, I believe, to actually extract the smoke. That's why you can't operate air fry and smoke extraction at the same time. The fan, because there's only one fan, they utilize a different rotation of the fan for the direction of the smoke. So we got 400 degrees and 10 minutes. You hit time, temp time, and it allows you to change the temp. But again, you change the temp and it just changes through the presets again. It doesn't round robin, so you have to manually do it. I would probably go for 400 because there's probably a temperature variance, and keep in mind this is going to be direct contact, not airflow based. So there's going to be a temperature variance, probably about 25 degrees, I would say, especially towards the center, because what it knows as a temperature when it does the preheat is over here. I haven't actually tested this yet, so I'll be doing that tomorrow. But anyway, and then once you get your time set and everything done, you can select preheat or not to preheat, and you can have a turn reminder and not turn reminder. Here's another thing too. You have to account for the preheat time. It does not do that for you. So if your actual cook time is 10 minutes and you want to flip in 5, well, your preheat time is sucking up that 10 minutes. So after this is done, you'll have like 5 minutes. So if you compensate for that and you hit time, and then you increase the time to another 5 minutes. We'll test it out. Okay, let's start. And this will give you an idea of how loud the smoke extractor is. Now, another thing too to note, when you open the lid, there's no mechanism to tell it to stop doing anything, right? So it won't stop the timer, it won't stop the heating. It'll just keep going and going and going. The thing is that yes, this is aluminum, but it's not going to lose all its heat immediately, and it jumps up so high so fast in the center. You can afford to hit stop just once while the lid is open. This pauses the timer and stops the heating element from turning on again. It keeps the fan on because the fan is a safety feature to keep it from overheating. So don't automatically turn it off. Let that fan cycle complete before turning it off. That will save your electronics in the long run. So, heat is the death of electronics. But this is pretty much the amount of space it takes. My dishwasher is underneath here. I've already cooked some French fries with it, as you can see from my messy foiled bowl. But and yes, I have washed these with soap and water before I used them. There is a distinct odor, but that's also because it hasn't done very many cycles with the grill plate in it. And I just washed it once, so still need to break it in, if you will. So we're doing this in real time. You can see the bit of a flicker. If you see it, that's because the refresh rate is slower than what my phone can capture. Kind of the same thing would happen back in the day if you watch a TV show that filmed a CRT monitor, same thing would happen. This is just a little faster. Also to note, I did contact customer support of Gourmia, and they indicated that the display was improved. Other than just moving it to the side, they did improve the touch sensitive controls. And I do believe that they improved some of the internal mechanics of the fan as well. So it is a little bit bigger than some of the main models that I've been seeing online in in a lot of reviews. It's 21 inches in width, 15.5 inches in depth, and then when you open the lid, it's almost 8 inches in height. But I wouldn't overcrowd this, and to make turning flip easier, I would make sure everything's just like one layer, and make sure you're using tools like these. These are not the best ones. You can see here, I use this on my cast iron, and my cast iron retains the heat a hell of a lot better than these things. It's like a thermal battery. But anyway, I used it at high heat with these, and it kind of burned them, made scorch marks in them. And over time, it leaves flakes in your food. So these aren't rated for super high heat. At 400, it'll work fine. But you can get special uh, tools. All right, so add food. We hit stop. Now we can open the grill. Okay. It's pretty hot. Look at that. We got 14 minutes and 55 seconds left. So I added 15 minutes to it. It only stole a minute and about 5 seconds of time before that turned it that way. So now we know that it only steals time from when it says add food. So right now my temperature gauge says 90. That safety fan just turned off. I'm touching the grill grate. Now this is in one of the holes of the grill grate. I'm going to make it straight for easier read. Ah! See, this is why you want a laser probe. But I'm cheap. See, directly on the grill surface, we're barely getting 225 just yet. And then right there on the hump. Now it's going back down to 210, 208, 205. Right? Now we come over here, 190. Come here, 189. Come back here, 185. 192, 194, 198. 192, 194. Now this is not like scientific or anything, but it's proven a point. Just because it says it reached a preheat temperature doesn't actually mean it did. And by doing this at a specific preheat temperature, which I said 400, right? Well, now I know that when I cook my food, it's going to take a little longer than what the preheat time says, so I need to compensate for that. So the extra 5 minutes is, well, good. Now I can either turn preheat back on and continue the preheat cycle, another preheat cycle, or I can hit start. Let's do another preheat cycle and see what happens. Okay, see, it insists it's done. So now it's done with that preheat cycle. It says no more. So, okay, well, then that makes sense. I mean, it doesn't want to continue. It says it's reached its 400 temperature. Now, I would argue that its 400 temperature is what the temperature is underneath the griddle. So, tomorrow will be 0 day for my hamburger experiment. I have come up, based off of the reviews of the older model, I come up with a way to, one, maintain uh, how clean this gets by cooking my burger at 400 instead of what it recommends. It wants me to do it on high, which is 500 fucking degrees. And let me tell you something about 500 fucking degrees. Every type of meat you want to cook on this thing will carbonize your grease and fat and polymerize your grease and fat onto the walls. This is what turns your walls inside the unit. It'll turn it brown, right? So you want to keep your temperature low. Yes, I know we want these for speed, but in actuality, speed's not the good thing here. It's the amount of power it uses in a small space, right? It adds some convection. Yes, it's a smoke extractor, but it is pulling air off the surface, right? So it is going to dry out something, or whatever you use. So I use a saturated fat because they harden when come in contact with a cold meat, right? So you take your meat out of the refrigerator and let's say you use some clarified butter or bacon fat or whatever saturated fat like that you use, it normally solidifies under cold temperatures, but if it's room temperature, it's generally pretty much a liquid. You can paint this on your meat and it'll stay on your meat instead of dripping all over your pan. Instead of using olive oil or whatever, that just slips off and it never gets hard enough to where it forms kind of like a candy shell lacquer, if you will. Alright, I'm going to stop this. We waited about 4 minutes or so. Woo. I smell dust. More than likely it's some of my dripping or crumbs from the French fries I did earlier. I'm just checking to see how much added temperature we did, if any. Now I see why they say to it on high. It's not actually reaching that smoke point. Let's see. Alright, so it's on high at 500 degrees Fahrenheit. Now we preheat. Now the thing of it is, if it's using any kind of air as a thermal source, you may have to take that into account. But then again, this is the analytical video of your life for an $89 appliance, right? But I'm poor. This is a big expenditure for me. It's as if somebody gave me a $300 appliance. But hey, look, if you take care of it, it could last. Those cheap $5 butane lighters, I've had one last for a year or more. Just because I figured out how to take care of it to where it wouldn't break on me after the first use. So, yeah, this is real time, no speed up, kind of boring. If you want, you could skip through and you can see when the timer changes, but as I said, I consumed a lot of videos where the display was up front here, and funny enough, the probe was still over here. The internals really didn't change very much over here. It's just the outside housing changed. And I think the fact that being that the control panel is here and the temperature probe is here, the relationship to the relationship to the heat and the preheat temp here was supposed to matter. So we hit pause and let that relax. Okay, see, we lost about 5 minutes or 5 seconds in our timer. We look at our temperature probe. And this is in the center. Climbing up in the degrees much faster than before. Come on, you can do it. Let's get to 300. Come on. Come on. Wow. Then again, I don't think this is a really good thermometer. Hopefully I'm wrong, because alright, so here's the deal. I cooked Idaho waffle French fries and this. I cooked them pretty much from here, and I just followed the pattern of holes. I followed the instructions and gave it an extra 5 minutes. And I gave it the whole 5 minutes. And I walked away, came back when it said add food, did the whole pause thing, which I hit stop, turned all the fries, and then hit start again. And by the time it was done, the fries were perfect. They were nice, crispy on the outside, and nice and fluffy on the inside. Albeit they could have been crispier, but I have a solution for that. I'm going to do it at 300 degrees in the oven because I'm going to be making hamburgers tomorrow using the grill. Switching these out. See how recessed that handle is? I ain't putting my hand in there. All I got is these oven mitts, and that ain't fun. So, yeah. But on the topic of cleaning, that's where this guy comes in. This guy and some of that guy. After my burger comes off the grill and it's sitting on my hamburger all ready to go, I'm going to take some paper towel and wipe off my grill immediately, right? And then take some more paper towel and wipe down the edges, including the front. Even though you won't be able to see it, it's always accumulating. Just keep that in mind. And when you wipe it down, you're wiping it off anyway. And you'll see it on the paper towel. So, there it is. We'll come back tomorrow and see me destroy a hamburger or create the best crappy hamburger.